the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Ma'am, right this way. Watch your step. I got the chair.
Thank you.
Make sure the chair doesn't roll off of there. If you would state your name, spell your last name, please.
Kristin Sigler. First name Kristyn, last name Sigler, Sigler.
Thank you. Mr. Warren. Thank you, Judge. Ms. Sigler, how do you know about the Swan Boat Club?
I worked there since about 2018. My sister is also a member there.
In what capacity did you work there?
I was one of the head bartenders for about 5 years. It was a seasonal job, so in the slower months we didn't work as much, but then in the summer it's a full-time job again.
Through that end, did you plan a birthday for your party, or a birthday party for your son at the boat club?
I did. His third birthday, I rented the Pavilion area.
And when you say the Pavilion, what does that include?
So there's a main building, which is the boat club and the bar, and then there's what we call a breezeway, which is basically like a garage door entryway to another building that private parties are hosted or other functions.
And do you refer to the building as the Pavilion or the area out back as the Pavilion?
The building itself.
Ms. Sigler, I'm just going to show you this just to make life easier.
You're having the man stand up, or is it going to be on there?
It could be on there too, but just so you've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah. Does this look familiar?
Yes.
What is this property?
The parking lot area and the pavilion of the boat club.
Okay. This has been marked as People's 9K. Ms. Sigler, is this a fair and accurate representation of an overhead view of the property where you worked for some 6 years?
Yes.
Okay. People would move for the admission of 9K.
Response? No objection. People's 9K is admitted.
And I'm just going to leave this here for the jury to have something to understand when you're talking about locations and things like that. Could we bring 9K up? Sure. So, Ms. Sigler, when you say the pavilion, can you see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or should I hold the...
No, I can see that.
So the dirt area, is that the Swan Club parking lot?
Yes.
And then the two buildings right there on the water.
So the one on the right with like a slide-in playground area behind it is the pavilion, and the area to the left is the main building.
And when you reference a breezeway, what structure are you referring to?
It's kind of hard to see, but where that little white door is in between, there's like a connecting...
So a small structure that connects the two buildings?
Yes.
So you rented the building on the right for your son's birthday party?
Yes.
And that was on April 20th, 2024?
Yes.
And that was in Berlin Township, Newport, state of Michigan?
Yes.
What time was the party scheduled to begin?
It was from 1 to 4.
How many guests were invited?
Around 70.
How many turned out?
At least 50. Some people came a little bit earlier and had to leave. Some people came a little bit later.
Okay. Are you familiar with Mariah Dots?
Yes, I am.
How are you familiar with her?
We have been best friends since we were 5.
Okay. Are you familiar with her children?
Yes, they're my godchildren.
Was Mariah invited to the party?
Yes, she was.
How about her children?
Yes.
Do you recall what time they arrived?
I think it was a little after 2 because they were running late.
Okay. What about Ed Smothers? Are you familiar with him?
Yes, that's
Oh.
Mariah's nephew. I also, knowing them since I was 5,
Okay.
I just consider him one of my nephews. He's not blood though.
And how about Diane Medina?
She's a friend.
Okay. Is she also a member of the Swan Boat Club?
She is a member of the Swan Boat Club.
Okay. And how about Leah Stiff?
That is my niece,
Okay. Your blood niece?
my sister's stepdaughter.
Okay. So the party began at 1. Is that correct?
Yep.
And Mariah and her children arrive around 2 p.m. Is that correct?
Yep.
So you have to answer yes.
I'm sorry.
or no.
Yes.
And you can't just nod your head because they're recording it.
Okay.
I know it's hard, but okay.
Yep.
Thank you. So approaching 3 a.m. or 3 p.m., what was happening at the party?
We had just got done singing Happy Birthday. It was around 2:40, 2:45. We sang Happy Birthday. And the entertainers were going to be leaving, so I told everybody just to continue to play, and that there were little cake pops instead of real cake, so just grab one of those and continue playing. I didn't really have a sit-down dinner, you know, it was just kind of buffet style, eat as you go. So we had just got done singing Happy Birthday, and everybody was just back to enjoying the party.
Okay. And did you go outside at some point on the phone?
I did. I received a phone call from my friend Amy because her children and her husband were there, but she couldn't make it. So I was FaceTiming her just to show her everything and catch up with her for a minute.
Okay. Did anything out of the ordinary happen then?
Yeah, there was very loud, what sounded like a bomb. And I was right by the door, so I ran in, and it looked like a bomb at that point. I didn't know what happened. There was just my son and his cousins right in the doorway. And so I got them outside, and there was just debris everywhere.
Was there dust in the air? Was it hard to see?
Yes, there was a lot of dust still floating around. Some lights were flashing.
After you got your son and the other children outside, what did you do then?
I went back in and found Diane Medina and my niece Leah on the ground. So I started picking the debris up off of them and trying to help with them.
What happened then?
Then I seen one of the little girls got put on top of the bar because she was thrown behind it. And so I got her off the bar and set her down next to somebody that she knew. And then I seen Marshella coming around the side of her car.
Well, let's hold on and back up. So where are the little girl and Diane and Leah? Where are they in relationship to the vehicle?
The vehicle was pushed all the way in front of them, so when I came in the back door, immediately Leah was on the ground, then Diane Medina. The car was shoved up, and the little girl, after I started pulling stuff off, she got set on top of the bar, like right in front of me kind of, so I took her off.
And so at this time, you're inside the event space. What is the tenor inside? What's it like? Is it completely silent? Is
Oh, no. There was screaming, yelling. I accidentally stepped on Diane when I was trying to help her, so we were trying to maneuver around people without hurting them. Yeah, it was just chaos.
So you indicated at one point you saw the defendant.
Yes.
Did you know the defendant prior to this?
Yes.
How did you know her?
She comes into the Swan Boat Club where I worked.
Okay. Do you see the defendant in the courtroom here today?
I do.
Could you point her out for the jury? And
Stipulate identification of the defendant. The record should reflect the witnesses identified the defendant.
thank you, Judge. After you saw the defendant, what happened?
I went over to her. I was kind of already right there, so I was at the back of her car. She was being walked around the back of her car, and I grabbed her. And then I realized that it was a car that was in front of me, because before I didn't realize it was a car. I just seen a big mess. And so when we got to the back of her car, I grabbed her and I started yelling at her. And somebody yelled, "There's a kid under the car." So I told her to pop her trunk so we could get a jack. She popped the trunk. I started looking for the jack. She came like kind of back over towards me. I grabbed her again and was yelling at her kind of close to her face, and she said, "Tweety, where's Don?" Which Tweety is my nickname, and Don is her husband. So at that point, her talking to me, I could smell alcohol on her. I kind of realized like she just drove her car into the building. So at that point, I told her just to get the F away from me, and I threw her down.
Okay. You testified just a moment ago that at some point people started yelling, "There's a kid under the car." What did you do as it related to that?
Well, I looked for the jack for a minute, and a bunch of the guys that were at the party grabbed 2x4s or 2x6s that were on the ground and just said, "On the count of 3, we're gonna lift. We need you to go under." So once they lifted, I seen Zayn. He was underneath the driver's side wheel well of the car, and he was reaching out. So when they lifted, I got underneath it and pulled him out, and it felt like for 5 minutes, but it was just a few seconds. I put him on my lap, and the back of his head was bleeding. And his arm was just kind of limp and all bloody, and he had blood on his shirt and his face. But I asked him if he knew who he was, and he said, "Yeah, Zayn." And I said, "You know who I am?" He said, "Yes, God, Mom." And then somebody yelled, "Tweety, there's another." So I handed Zayn to my sister and tried to go back under for Alana, but I couldn't reach her, and the car started slipping, so they told me to come back out.
And what did you do then, Kristin?
I followed behind my sister. She was carrying Zayn outside, and I followed behind her and told her just to keep talking to him, and that I had to go try to get Alana from the other side, which was the breezeway.
And what did you see when you got to the breezeway?
In the door frame, Alana was wedged in between it. But she was already gone. She was blue and discolored. And Edward, which is her cousin, was laying in front of her, and her mom was laid up against the wall a few feet away from them.
So what did you do then while you were in the breezeway?
I tried to shield Mariah from seeing Alana, and I made eye contact with Edward and told him just to keep looking straight, told Mariah to keep looking straight. And then the sirens, I could hear the sirens, so I told them that I had to go get help. And both of them asked me not to leave them, but I knew that I needed first responders. I needed somebody. So I ran out, and the first EMS worker stopped right in front of Zayn and my sister and started helping with him. And then I directed him to where Mariah was. But then they wouldn't let me in either area anymore.
Okay. So that was kind of all you saw of what went on that day, at least firsthand. All right. I don't have any further questions for this witness, Judge.
Cross? All right, may this witness be excused?
For now, Judge, we'd ask her to remain as a potential rebuttal witness.
All right.
So she's free to leave for today.
But she can't be in the court.
court.
All right, thank you. Next witness?
Your Honor, people call William Paul Schmidt.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this matter before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
So,